Hey everybody, so I got a really great question submitted to me recently, and it's great and challenging to answer. The question was, how do I know my product photos are good? It's a challenging question to answer because it basically makes you want to ask more questions to kind of again get a better idea. Plus, I'd like to see the actual product photos to give specific feedback. But you need to remember there's so many factors that go into taking a product photo, especially a good product photo. There's lighting, there's background, there's styling, there's who your audience slash customer is. Are your are your photos cluttered, and so on. There's just too many things to take into consideration. But what I will do is share with you some ways you can kind of get a better idea on if your product photos are good. So first off, asking somebody. I find this is the most valuable thing you can do to really understand if your product photos are good. So first you can ask a photographer, somebody who is a product photographer who might be doing, styling, that kind of thing, or somebody who does some other type of photography who has an idea on like what makes great photos and understands lighting and composition and so on. They can give you specific things to really look at, especially from a photographer perspective, that you may not get from somebody who doesn't really know a lot about photography. The other thing you can do is ask a fellow friend, a peer, a family member, and so on, their thoughts on your photos. So be wary about who you're asking. Ask somebody that you trust and that you respect and who will give you honest feedback, not somebody who's just going to sugarcoat it and say, hey, yeah, your photos are good. Like, oh, they're all good. And then you ask somebody else and they're like, no, you need to do some work. So you can always ask them, what do you like about the photo? What don't you like about the photo? How does the photo make you feel, and so on. There's a lot of things you can do. So asking somebody, I think, is just going to be the most valuable, I think. The other thing you could do is look at your listing views and sales. Now you need to take this with a little bit of caution because you need to consider what's currently in demand online. So obviously masks are very popular, and I know a lot of makers are selling masks to deal with the pandemic and deal with the demand and the need for it. So take into consideration what's currently just in demand in general, but also the seasons. If you sell things that are certain products that are popular depending on the time of year, the type of I don't know, there's just those types of things to consider. So looking at your listings that have more sales and more views is really important. Look at those listings and see if there's photos that you don't find or you don't see in those listings that have less views or less sales. Compare them and see if there's a gap there. See if there's a difference in the lighting, in the angles that you photographed your product, the backgrounds, and so on. If you see an inconsistency, think about, okay, maybe I'm going to try and photograph, these other products the way I photograph these products that have more sales and more views. You kind of need to be a bit of a detective at this, so I highly encourage you to do that. The other thing you can do is look at your old product photos and see if there's a difference between your current product photos and your old product photos, and really see, has there been an improvement? If not, you might need to do a little work on how to photograph your products and so on. I also have several different blog posts on product photography. There's one specifically that I did when assessing product photos that I kind of made myself that were kind of replicas of stuff that I saw online. And so it's a video that I kind of walk people through on what to think about, what works and what doesn't work, and how making it better can make a listing look a lot better and more professional. and so on. So I will leave a link to that. But I hope that really helps. It's a really challenging question to answer, but I hope that can help you learn to understand where you're at with your photos and hopefully improve them if needed. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.